Hi, it's Grandma again. I'm reading another book to you today. This one is called A Single Pearl by Donna Jo Napoli, illustrated by Jim LaMarche. Single Pearl, just like my granddaughter's name, Pearl. I can't wait to see what this is about. Ooh, there's a seagull. We learned about seagulls. They have gray feathers in our last book. Okay, here we go. I'm hoping you can see that okay. I think it's fine right there. A grain of sand fell into the ocean, past so many creatures, to the very bottom, where sand went out in every direction for what seemed like forever to the grain of sand. There's that little grain of sand dropped to the bottom. The ocean bed is huge and important, said the grain of sand. In comparison, I don't matter at all. I am worthless. The grain of sand would have cried if sand could make tears. Aw, poor little sand. Poor little grain of sand. A hungry oyster drew water through its gills, stirring up the ocean bed, filtering out its food from the floating seaweed. There's the oyster, swallowing up its food through its gills, and then it's going to filter out its food from the floating seaweed. The hungry oyster. The grain of sand got stuck between the oyster's mantle and the shell and struggled at first to get free. Then it gave up the struggle, for after all, what did it matter? It was only a single grain of sand. The grain of sand would have curled in despair if sand could curl. There's that little speck of sand. See it right there? Little speck of sand inside that oyster now. Trapped in there, not knowing what to do. Just gave up. Gonna be a little speck of sand in an oyster. But that single grain in that very spot irritated the poor oyster, who protected itself by coating the sand with a shiny layer year after year. So that pearl, that little speck of sand, kept getting bigger and bigger with the shiny coating, and pretty soon, that looks like a pearl to me. One day, a daring diver put on a nose clip and finger guards and climbed onto a weighted bar so his friends could lower him into the cold sea. He dug up the oyster and put it into his net basket. There he is, getting the oyster in his net basket. And then he's going to get pulled back up, I'm pretty sure. When the diver got back on land, he pried open the shell and gasped at the glorious pearl. He quickly put it in his pocket. The grain of sand was overcome by all the rapid changes from inside the cold oyster to out in the hot sun and deep in the dark pocket. The grain of sand would have shivered with dread if sand could shiver. There's that pearl in the middle of an oyster. It started as a little piece of sand. The diver sold the pearl to a prince for bags and bags of money. Wow. Wow. The prince, in turn, gave it to his beloved wife, who said it glowed like the moon. See, there's his wife, and she's holding up the pearl, which is glowing just like the moon. She saved it on a slip of velvet in a gold cup until she had a daughter whose laughter was as light as whose face was as lovely as the moon. And there's her daughter. And there's the pearl right there. And there's a peacock feather. We just learned about peacock feathers too. For the third time, the pearl changed hands. The young princess hung it around her neck and held it tenderly. The grain of sand felt her warmth and love. This was where it was supposed to be. This was home. The grain of sand laughed with joy, for anyone can laugh. She's got it around her neck on a necklace. Oh, she's so happy holding that pearl. It was so admired that pearls became the imperial jewel of choice in all Persia. Oh, look at all these divers collecting oysters to find pearls. The grain of sand sat in the center of the pearl, and it mattered. That little grain of sand mattered. Aw. And there's the princess's daughter dancing in the sun with the pearl on a necklace. The end. Until next time, I love you.